I'm Leah Ferrazzani, the owner and pasta maker at Semolina Artisanal Pasta in Los Angeles, California.
I've always been passionate about feeding people since I was a little kid. I've always related to people and the world best through food. When I hit college in Sonoma County and was in a place where a lot of food is grown, I really started building relationships with farmers. I became passionate about where my milk came from because I could see the dairy cows, and I became passionate about where my meat came from because I lived near chicken ranches. It really made much more sense to me knowing where your food came from, who grew it, who made it, and it's something that I've tried to integrate into my life ever since. I've woven my passion for food into my work life pretty much from the get-go. Some of my first jobs were in food. I managed a cafe when I was 16 years old. I have worked front of the house waiting tables. I've managed restaurants. I've made wine. I started writing about food and I started writing about wine. I started talking a lot about the people behind the things that I loved. I loved to tell stories about the makers and the farmers and the fishermen. And eventually it kind of hit a point where I wanted to be one of the makers. I wanted to be somebody who was doing more than just talking about other people who fed people. I wanted to be somebody who fed people. I'm a really big believer in cooking at home and eating with your family at the table, and so I wanted to make something that people could bring home and feed their family, that a person was behind, that they could trust, that was made with integrity and care and thoughtfulness. And where I found that most lacking on the supermarket shelves was the pasta aisle, something that I loved to eat and then could only find really good pasta imported from Italy. Semolina reflects everything I believe in about food. We strive for authenticity, transparency, and simplicity. I use 100% organic semolina and water, and that's it. I buy my flour directly from the miller because I want to know the person behind the flour that I'm getting. I don't cut with any finer grinds. I don't adulterate or manipulate. And then I do everything along the way to get the best expression of that grain, because I want to honor the guy who grew it and the guy who milled it. And so I extrude all the pasta through bronze dies to give it a nice rough texture so it'll hold sauce. I dry everything very slowly and at low temperatures, and that preserves all the natural flavor in the wheat. And I just don't cut any corners. I don't add flavors to things because I want you to taste the purity of it. When you buy a bag of my pasta, I want it to feel like I've come over to your house and I've cooked for you. I've done all the work to give you something that's really, really fundamental to making a great dish. And then whether you add like a slow cooked gravy that's your grandma's recipe, or just a little drizzle of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon juice, that it's gonna be satisfying and pure. Well, I started Semolina in my laundry room, because where else are you going to dry pasta, right? Like where you dry things, in your laundry room. I used a bunch of consumer electronics. I had a Vicks vaporizer hooked up to an incubator hygrostat with a CPU unit, fan like siphoned off a computer stuck into the window for exhaust. I had a space heater and some box fans to move all the air around. And I just focused on figuring out how to dry it. We now have 25 Whole Foods locations. We just got into Gelson's, which has 26 locations. We should be on the shelves there in just a couple of weeks. We picked up the 5 Jimbo's markets in San Diego. So getting the grant from FedEx would be huge in getting us the equipment that we need to be able to grow. And if there's anything left over, to market, because it's only so good to have a great product, but you have to be able to tell people about it and find ingenious ways to tell them about it. This would go a long way to helping us really, really get the word out about really great pasta made right in Los Angeles.